I have been living with the rare autoimmune condition ITP, immune thrombocytopenia, for the last 18 years. And more recently, in October last year, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia syndrome. Undoubtedly, being diagnosed with and then living with chronic conditions does take its toll, obviously physically, but also mentally. It has definitely knocked my confidence, and I have found myself often mourning my old self, the person that I once was and the person that I had anticipated I could become. On the mental health side, I think I found it quite difficult to accept that there was anything wrong with me at all. I had lived until 2006, when I was diagnosed with ITP, a pretty healthy life. And then I went through, of course, the stage that most other people probably go through when they've been diagnosed with any kind of condition, the stage of asking why me, denying it could possibly be me. I had thought maybe that my blood test results had got mixed up with someone else's. Once I did get round to accepting the situation, the next stage, of course, was looking at ways that I could help myself, bearing in mind that neither of my conditions will ever go away. They're not curable, but they can be satisfactorily managed to ensure that one can still have a very high quality life and be productive, perhaps in different ways to those that we may have been before diagnosis. I also felt quite a lot of guilt and continue to do that because, like again, many other people with chronic conditions, we rely so much on our support network, and on many occasions I have felt sad that I can't do more to help my wife, family and friends in the same vein that I used to do before I fell ill. It has obviously impacted on the relationships I have with my family and friends, in that their perceptions of the old me, as it were, have had to be adjusted, and that has involved me in full and frank conversations with them, explaining what my conditions are and what limitations that they may place on the things I can now do. I have to be absolutely open with them and explain that I am not perhaps the person that I used to be. I'm a new version of me, able to do perhaps different things to those that I could do before. Relationships with friends are perhaps more difficult than with close family, in that we spend quite a lot of time as a family together, and their understanding of my situation is much easier. For friends who we perhaps see less often, it is more stressful for me to have to keep explaining what my situation is. And I find myself getting dragged down a bit when I have to keep going over things. I have had quite a bit of support for my mental health. I did some CBT training with talking therapies. I regularly use Balance, Smiling Mind and Insight Timer, which all provide excellent meditation and relaxation courses. I've also used many courses of breathing and relaxation on Fitbit, and I've also found that the Open University Open Learn and Future Learn programs to have numerous courses on mental health, well-being, nutrition, and general health information, which are available free of charge to anyone anywhere in the world. The difficulty I think that I found, and most other men have probably found, is that it's knowing where to turn to get the support that is going to benefit you the most. There are many well-being courses and well-meaning people available through our family doctor, our GP, but there isn't really, in my eyes, sufficient benefit from some of them, because you're often dealing with people that are not going through the same issues that you are being confronted by. And therefore, the Rare Disease Men's Mental Health Group has been of much more benefit than most of the things that my GP has suggested, in that we are all men who are suffering from chronic illnesses, and therefore we understand many of the issues that we are experiencing. It's been a wonderful forum too to gain hints and tips and insights to resources that frankly otherwise I wouldn't have come across. And I've also found that for me, I gain a lot from writing. This is why I chose to write a book about my ITP experience, which I spent a year working on and self-published in 2019. It was a great source of comfort to me in the sense that I was able to express all of those things that I'd gone through during my illness, and for want of a better phrase, get it all off of my chest. It was a good way to also remember some of the things that I had gone through, because at the time it's such a whirlwind of blood tests and all kinds of examinations and tests that you sometimes forget at the time just what you have gone through. So reflecting on it and recalling it was a good exercise for me. I accept, though, that it might not be for other people, but in my case I found it therapeutic. In terms of how we get more men to speak out about their mental health, it's very difficult. There's undoubtedly much more focus on it now than there ever has been, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a slow process to encourage more men to talk about these situations. It does help that some quite high profile men have come out to explain their difficulties with mental health, and you only have to sort of list the names of various celebrities and sports stars that have spoken about these issues to realise that it's a really big problem. I mean, just the other day I was doing a bit of research on this and realised that the following people have all had difficulties with mental health: Jim Carrey, Rob Delaney, Eminem, Elton John, Michael Phelps, Owen Wilson, Hugh Laurie, Ryan Reynolds, Brad Pitt. So without doubt, the message around men and mental health needs to improve. It needs greater focus. It needs more advocates. I think that's the only way we can really change anything. We have to talk about it ourselves and spread the word to other people by engaging. I think it does help that we have a number of designated days or weeks around the globe to talk about mental health. World Mental Health Day, for example, is the 10th of October. Mental Health Awareness Week is in second week in May. And November is designated in the UK as Mental Health Awareness Month. I think it's incumbent on us to make the most of those opportunities to spread the word about men and mental health and make use of those specific days and campaigns to raise the profile of this clearly important and neglected issue. I hope that that's given some insight into my experience with the impact on my mental health of living with two chronic conditions. It's difficult enough living with the physical issues that these conditions throw at us, and it's almost as if that's the easy part, dealing with the pain and the constant blood tests and rushing to various appointments. The difficult bit is actually getting the mind to accept it and live with it in the most positive way that we can, and finding a way to live in the best way we can, to be a different person, but nevertheless still a positive, engaging and productive person. Thanks for listening.